So why do I keep chickens? I got two reasons. Number one, I like to utilize their help in making compost. And number two, food security. I raised two dual-purpose breeds, one of them being the Sussex, and the other one is a Turken. The Sussex is my father's favorite breed, and the Turken in cuckoo color was the favorite of my grandparents. So, out of respect, I decided to keep these two breeds. I brought the Sussexes as 1-month-old chicks from a reliable breeder nearby, and the Turkens arrived from the Hungarian gene bank as 1-day-old hatchlings. This is my go-to book on how to raise chickens in the backyard. Bought this several years ago before I even had any idea where the stable or chicken coop gonna be, but planned the building itself, the yard, the chicken run, the composting yard, following his recommendations in this book. The author is Harvey Ossery, and the title of the book is, as you can see, The Small Scale Poultry Flock. This is the most important book on the subject, and I strongly recommend it for you to purchase if you're seriously considering raising chickens for yourself or your family. Just before the chicks arrived, I built a wooden box large enough to accommodate 30 of them. This was the first time I had my own birds, and it was so much fun to watch them. I caught myself spending long hours just watching them. After about 2 weeks, once conditions allowed, I moved them to the chicken coop because they made too much dust in my living room. Occasionally I let the dogs in so they could get used to the chicks they needed to protect. This is my theater of operation. The building in the back accommodates the barn, the stable, and the chicken coop. The netted area is the compost yard, and in the foreground you see the chicken run with chicks literally running for the show. These are my 2-week-old chicks already in the chicken coop. I have provided them heating until they were almost fully feathered. The bedding consists of dry wood shavings and leaves to protect them from the cold, as well as to experiment with deep litter. Even in the chicken coop, I allowed my dogs to watch them running around. While the Caucasian Shepherd has a built-in instinct to protect livestock, the German Shorthair is just the opposite. Was bred for hunting, including birds, so I have to be more patient with her. Once weather allowed, I let them go outside to an enclosure which was covered and still sort of protected them from the elements. Behind the chicken wire, they were protected from predators, but were exposed to cooler temperatures, wind and sunshine, as well as sounds they have not heard before. End of June, they got access to the covered compost yard, and the fun began. From that day on, they were relentlessly working the 3-month-old horse manure pile, searching for bugs, spiders, worms, roly-polies, slugs, and grubs. While searching the pile, they were shredding the materials into smaller particles, helping me in the composting process. Finally, in July, time has come to let them use the 400 square meter open-air chicken run. Once I have broody hens to take care of their young chicks, they will not be confined to the coop or compost yard. They will have access to the whole 9 yards and learn how to take care of themselves and to be vigilant from an early age. This is a chicken run with fruit trees, dominantly pear trees, summit pear trees. And I have my vegetable garden down here below the chicken run, and my plan is to open this fence in the winter time when I don't have any vegetables in the garden, so the chicken can roam the whole vegetable garden and collect all the bugs, worms, clean up the garden from weed seeds and fertilize that garden for next year's plants. So they have a chicken run that is twice as the size as the current one. Behind my garden tool shed, I designated a new compost area. Whatever comes out of the garden and I don't need it, I just throw it over the fence and lands on this spot. In the near future, I will build a small roof to cover the area, as well as a gate to make my life easy to load my wheelbarrow and haul the compost back to the garden. I have decided a long time ago that I will use this area as a chicken run, so planted a mulberry tree back in 2012. The fruit of the tree is a lovely snack for the birds and serves as an aromatic feeder for about 2 weeks in June. Egy öreg barcs kutya őrzi az állományt, ahogy Szombathelyi Tibinél is tette. Now let's go inside the main compost yard and let me talk a little bit about the composting process. Then we will look at the chicken coop. The mulch here in the chicken run is pretty deep, and as I step on it, it shrinks underneath my feet. It provides food for the chickens as well as keep them entertained so they don't peck on each other. They find vitamins, worms, slugs, all kinds of beetles in this material. And they don't get bored even if they closed in into this approximately 20 square meter run. The fence is built in a way where this panel that I'm showing you could be removed, so loading the compost material, raw material into this chicken run is easy, as well as hauling the compost, the fine compost, out into the garden is easy as well. The garden is down at the lowest spot in my on my property, so I don't have to take the heavy materials uphill. It's always downhill. So if I don't have the small tractor and I only have a wheelbarrow left, I could still do it. Or when I get old and need some exercise, I can still do this and feed my garden with this fine compost that the chickens provide me. Water is provided in this poultry waterer, and it's hanging from a hinge that is attached to the railing. The reason why it's installed this way, so I don't have to come inside to give water for them. The chicken coop was built in a way where in the hottest months, June, July and August, the decking provides shade for the chickens underneath. And as we go into the autumn, winter and spring, the sun is lower on the horizon and the sunshine can't get through underneath the deck, and the chickens can warm up and dust bath underneath this wooden sidewalk. This is one of the main entrances that the birds use to enter and exit from the coop. My chicken Hilton is approximately 12 square meter. The ceiling height is almost 4 meter, so there is plenty of fresh air and increased air circulation in the coop. Got 3 doors, one installed on the ceiling, and I'll tell you in a little bit what I use that one for. The floor is covered with carbon-rich organic material that soaks in the chicken poop. This deep litter is 20-30 centimeter deep and highly bioactive. If managed well, the coop does not stink at all. There are a few feeders as well as a waterer inside. The deep litter is usually dry and fine enough for the chickens to use for dust bathing, but just in case I provided a dust box which can be placed in one section or another as needed. There's a set of roosts, consists of 3 thick hazelnut shoots and can accommodate around 30 hens. The roosts are at the same height so they do not fight over the top positions. Everyone is equal, except the ones that decide to sleep on the landing perch of the nest boxes. There are 4 chicken-sized pop holes which allows me to direct traffic. I decide to which outdoor section I want to release the birds to. There's plenty of space inside. Matter of fact, I can divide the chicken coop into 3 sections for breeding purposes. This little door you see on the picture now is the one that I use to clean up the coop. I just open it and shovel the litter through underneath the wooden deck where the composting process continues. I will probably use chicken wire or wooden planks maybe to hold the half composted material together. Right now, this area is not in use since I have not cleaned the chicken Hilton yet. Here you see the pop hole trapdoors from the outside I mentioned earlier. They are similar to the ones that the Romans used to release lions and tigers onto the gladiators. The reason I like this design is that I don't have to go inside the run or coop and step into chicken poop in the morning when I let them come outside. When we walk into the middle section of the building, the so-called stable, on the left-hand side you find the nest boxes. Again, this can be opened from the outside, so there's no chicken poop danger for the faint-hearted. Then here we are again, inside the chicken coop. Let me show you what I use as bedding material in my chicken coop. This advice on bedding material came from Harvey Ossery's book, and I kept his recommendations. I'm almost up in the attic. 1 second. And here we go. Approximately 4 cubic meters that are collected last fall. Dry leaves are high in carbon, so when you have a nitrogen-rich material like a chicken poop, you can add this to them and the composting will be optimal if you use the right ratio. So I built a door in a ceiling, and I just throw the dry leaves into the chicken coop once it's needed. When I smell ammonia in the air, that means there is not enough carbon in this mix, so I gotta add some dry leaves. These leaves are collected here in my orchard, as well as at a playground nearby. My plan is to make as much compost as possible whenever it's possible, because my orchard and vegetable garden needs it. This is the most important ingredient to grow healthy fruits and vegetables. What is also important for me is to use materials that are from my own property. So create a closed loop system. The chickens scratched and shredded the materials here, and the microbiology in the compost broken it down into a fine compost. I'm about to take some of this down to the garden and mulch the beds. Since I haven't had any experience in raising chicks, I decided to give them a chick starter for their first 30 days and then a chick grower afterwards, while also supplementing greens and fruits as they were growing. My plan is to pasture them. I have a 2-acre orchard here, and there will be plenty of bugs, fruits, and greens, as well as seeds in the pasture, so I don't have to supplement a lot of purchased feed for them. At least that is my plan for now. Occasionally I sprout seeds for my birds. The best time to do this is in the winter, when they have less access to fresh green foods. Sprouting causes specific nutrient changes in seeds, an increase in protein, vitamins, and enzymes through a reduction in carbohydrate content. We could sprout corn, peas, sunflower seeds, wheat. The only thing to remember, those seeds need to be untreated. Hello, Pipi. Kitchen leftovers tend to end up in a chicken run these days. Birds will digest pretty much anything that comes out of the dining room. The only kitchen waste that won't end up in the chicken run are the coffee grounds. These are going into my worm bin, feeding my worms, and in exchange they provide me vermicompost that I use to make aerated compost tea. Worms have a secondary role in my system. They not only helping me breaking down organic materials, they also serve as food for my chickens. Once I got too many in the bin, I simply grab a handful of them and just throw it in the compost yard. The defense of my flock depends on my dogs mainly, so I had to set up a system where the dogs can go into the chicken run when they sense danger, and they can come out whenever they want. I have these Caucasian Shepherds here, which are great livestock guardian dogs. They are smart and they know when and how to intervene. So let me show you this gate system that I built here. All my gates are spring action gates, and they have just enough tension so the dog can push the door in and can go in by herself when it's needed. So goes through the first gate. This is the compost yard. Then goes through the second one, comes in the run, and if she decided she had enough or there's no danger, wants to go out, then goes out to the gate down here, then opens outwards and then pushes through here. There you go. Just had a hawk attack and all of my chickens ran underneath the bush. Luckily none of them got caught or injured, and looks like they are still scared. They're not gonna come out for another 20 to 30 minutes, I think. Since I had a hawk attack, the chickens tend to stay closer to me when I come to the chicken run, or closer to the dogs. They learn fast who could protect them from these predators. I also installed a fishing line here throughout the run, because I read it in Harvey Osser's book that this fishing lines can efficiently keep these flying predators, birds of prey, away, because these shiny lines make the area uncomfortable for them. Another common predator around here is the red fox. However, they are no match to my dogs. I feel sorry for this poor fellow who got caught the other night, but she should have known there is plenty of protection around the chicken coop 24/7. It is getting dark now, so it's time to close the doors on the chicken coop. Just closed all the doors. The birds are safe and off to sleep now. Good night, everyone. Thank you for watching.